So in one of my last videos, I talked about my hate for capitalism, how I dislike capitalism as a whole, and I view it as just a terrible system, in my opinion. Now, I haven't posted in a while. I haven't posted videos in a while. That's because I've done some reading. And some of my previous opinions, they've changed a lot in those times. One of my opinions was that I thought that you could change, you could find solutions to the problem and just capitalism as a whole if you work inside the system, if you join the NDP party in Canada, or if you try to run for prime minister. And I believe that I was wrong in that assumption. And I do believe that there needs to be a revolution that happens, some sort of socialism or communism revolution, which would fix this problem, just tear down capitalism as a whole. And I really just don't see stuff working out if you're working inside capitalism itself to solve capitalism. I just don't think that works out. Now, the point of the video I'm trying to get across is that I believe a revolution would be coming, and maybe in the next 40 years, whenever a socialism or communist revolution, it will happen at some point. I truly do believe it. And I believe that in order for this revolution to happen in the first place, first of all, you would need to understand Marxism as a whole to understand how revolutions even happen. And to understand Marxism as a whole, you would have to understand just basic philosophy and dialectical thinking. Didn't pronounce that properly. Dialectical thinking. You're gonna have to understand dialectical thinking. I don't have a hard time pronouncing that word. Anyway, I'm gonna explain to you guys what dialectical thinking is in a very simple way, and then I'm gonna tell you how it relates to politics, so you guys understand. Here we go. We got a little booklet here. Here's our booklet. Okay. Most people have something that's called common thinking. That's how most people think. They do not have dialectical thinking, they have common thinking. Now, or you could call it vulgar thinking as well. Anyway, basically, they think, in an example, this is an example of common thinking, water turns into ice. It's just a snapshot. Water turns into ice. First it's water, then it's ice. That's common thinking. Now, dialectical thinking, it's more like a movie. You know, it's not just a snapshot. Water randomly just happened to turn into ice. You know, there's water, and then it turns into colder water, then it turns into very cold water, and then it turns into ice. You know, it sees the intricacies and the details and the change over time. And in common thinking, that's just not something that happens, and just not something people see. Anyway, back to the point. We're gonna talk about how all this is even remotely relevant to politics. You guys might think, what the fuck does this have to do with a revolution? I don't care about water. I don't care about common thinking. I don't care about dialectical thinking. I don't give a shit. What does this have to do with a revolution? How is that gonna save us from capitalism? How's that gonna do anything? That's where I'm gonna relate it so you guys understand in a better way. Most people who have common thinking pretty much just see jobs exist, money flows, then sudden recession, financial crash, mass unemployment out of fucking nowhere. What the hell? How did that happen? Everything was fine before, and now it's just magically like this. What? Now, dialectical thinking. Jobs exist, monies flow. But then, debt is increasing, inequality is growing, business are starting to fail under pressure, and then sudden recession, sudden financial crash, mass unemployment. They see the intricacies, they see the details. They don't just see a snapshot, magically this to this. They don't see the snapshot. They see the details, they see the change over time that's been happening. And all this eventually leads to a revolution. All of it. Probably didn't draw it properly, but you get the idea. All this leads to a revolution because now there's pressure. The pressure is now erupted, and now a revolution starts. You know, capitalism is now going to get overthrown. That's something that happens. So that's the first thing you guys need to know when it comes to just knowing Marxism as a whole. And that's the first thing I'm doing, and I'm still learning, but that's the first thing. So there you go. Revolution starts. To get to this, you have to understand that things happen over time. They don't just happen just one to another. They happen over. Anyway, that's all I really had to tell you guys about dialectical thinking. But yeah, that's the first thing that you gotta learn, at least in my opinion, to learn Marxism as a whole. And I'm gonna make more videos like this in the future, and hopefully learn more, and hopefully, you know, maybe start a revolution to capitalism, and yeah, and solve homelessness, abolish homelessness. That'd be nice too. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. All right.